filming this right now in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And we're filming it at the Drug Policy Alliance conference. That's a biannual conference. We have a booth downstairs at the conference, and we're being joined by, again, hundreds of people, new people are joining us. And many law enforcers are joining us right now. 3 people from Malaysia. And one of them wants to be a speaker for us. He's supposedly one of the most respected former chiefs of police in all of Malaysia. And when he retired from being chief of police, he was made the head of corrections for the entire country. He wants to join us as a speaker, and he said to me that when he gets back home, he wants to create a LEAP chapter in Malaysia. He said he can get about 7 other law enforcers that he knows right now who would be speakers for us. That's wonderful. Let me tell you about something else new. The idea of having chapters, LEAP chapters in other countries is a brand new concept. About 6 months ago, I thought it'd really be good if we could spread into Central and South America because we haven't had too much to do down there. So I put on a board member, our newest board member, who's Judge Maria Lucia Caram. She's from Brazil. She speaks 4 languages. She's very, very intelligent lady. And as it happens, just 3 weeks ago, I was invited to go to Brazil, not as a result of her, but as a result of the government down there. They paid for a trip for me to go down to Rio de Janeiro for 5 days. And in that 5 days, I was supposed to speak to 2 groups. The first group was a spin-off of the second group I talked to. The main group was called the Brazilian Commission on Drugs and Democracy. And they are tasked with coming up with a declaration and resolutions to give to the Brazilian government to suggest how they might create their laws to run drug policy in the future. I don't know if your audience would be aware, but a lot of things have changed just recently in Central and South America. On August 21st of this year, Mexico decriminalized small amounts of all drugs for possession and decriminalized all drug use. 3 days after that, the Supreme Court of Argentina ruled that it's unconstitutional in their country to arrest anybody for what they put in their bodies or for possessing that substance that they want to put in their bodies. And less than a month after that, on September 10th, the Colombian Supreme Court made exactly the same ruling. Now, I think I was called down to Brazil because the Brazilian government is thinking about doing similar things. So I made my first presentation to a thing called the First Working Group of Public Security and Law Enforcers. And this is a spin-off committee of this Brazilian Commission on Drugs and Democracy. This was all law enforcement people. I made my presentation, it was all in simultaneous translation, and I had my PowerPoint translated already into Portuguese. I truly think everybody in that room was convinced. I didn't hear a single person say anything about it. I don't know for sure, but I do know nobody had a bad thing to say about it. And afterwards, I talked with almost everybody in the room, everybody I could get to. And I was there for hours afterwards. At this same presentation I made, there was the head of the Brazilian Organized Crime Bureau on the federal level. He said he agreed with us. He said I should come back and speak at the Federal Police Academy. So I put these 2 people together and I said, let's see if we can get this to happen. These people were ready to hear any solution that could possibly stop the violence. 3 days before I went to Rio de Janeiro, there was a shootout between two drug gangs in just one of the favelas that they have down there. The favelas are sort of vertical ghettos of poverty. They go up the hillsides. And the police seldom ever even go into these things unless something really bad happens. Well, 3 days before I was there was a shootout in one of these things between two drug gangs, left 45 dead in a day. They burned 7 buses. They shot a police helicopter out of the sky, killing 3 police officers. And it's like a war, literal war, not figuratively. So they were ready to hear any ideas about a solution. The next day I presented to the entire commission, the Brazilian Commission on Drugs and Democracy. It's an 18-member commission. After I finished presenting, 13 of the 18 members stood up and publicly said, he's right, the only way we're going to end the violence is if we legalize and regulate these drugs. 13 out of 18. In January, I'll be flying to Denmark, or in Copenhagen on January 7th, I'll be speaking to the Danish Parliament about this. And then I go on from there to Oslo, Norway, where I'll be making many talks and speaking to many parliamentarians in that country. The demand for us increases every passing month, and the demand also increases in the United States, but in these other countries, things are changing far more rapidly than they are in the United States. And I truly believe that in 10 years, this is going to be a thing of the past. We're going to look back and say, you know, that drug prohibition, that was just as stupid as when we used to have alcohol prohibition, and it will all be over. How many chances does any human being have in their entire life to actually join a revolution? And this is going to be a successful revolution. Mark my words, it is a revolution. When we end drug prohibition, it is going to change the face of the world, and it's going to change it all for the better. So if you want to be on board in one of the most amazing things that could ever happen, please join us. Go to leap.cc, our website, or if you can't remember that, copssaylegalizedrugs.com, and sign up for us. We're trying to get 1 million private citizens who say they agree with what we're doing by the next presidential election, 2012. And if we do that, we will be an organization to be reckoned with. I think we will change these laws.
Law enforcement against prohibition. These men and women have served in the trenches of the drug war as prosecutors, judges, cops, guards, and wardens. They have seen firsthand the utter futility of our policy and now work together to end drug prohibition. Please visit leap.cc.